take it out on your wife, on your husband, on your brothers, your sisters, your neighbors, and what have you. You stay mad. That's why when the brother step on your shoe, you want to kill him, cut him, do something to him, and depart. You know you do, on the one hand. But on the other hand, white people do stuff to you every day and do stuff to you that deserves a death penalty, and you don't even talk back to them, right? And so you have this displaced anger all the time. And the same thing was true with the Jews. Jews always upset. They say, well, Africans in this country got the highest rate of high blood pressure in the world. African men got the highest rate of prostate cancer than anybody on earth. And you don't know why. I know why. Because you got this repressed anger. You stay sick because you are so angry and you can't do anything with this anger, because if you do, white power would drop down on you like a lead balloon, and you know it. And so you contain and hold your anger into yourself. Then you also a little disturbed because white people have told you that if you want to succeed, in order to succeed in a white man's world, you got to act white. You don't feel white. And when you look in the mirror, you don't look white. But you got to do all those things to act white all the time. You got to learn perfect diction. You understand? In other words, you got to talk like white people. And you even have to learn how to walk like white people. When people talk about Michael Jackson, they say Michael Jackson did this terrible thing with children. And what I want to tell you, that something is wrong with Michael Jackson, but they got the wrong disease. You want to look at child molestation, Michael Jackson is a victim of child molestation. When you see an African who is so messed up that he has internalized this whole concept of being white to succeed, that he mutilates himself to such an extent that he continues to mess up his face, that he looks like an old, sick white woman. This is somebody who is a victim of child molestation. Because you have to be like the oppressor, and so you're sick all the time. And you're angry with each other all the time. You're really angry with the white man, but you ain't going to mess with him. Scared of him. You're scared of him. You're scared to even be seen places with black people that white people don't want you to be seen with. I ain't going there because if the white man, if my boss, if somebody hears about it, I'm going to be in trouble. The police might know it. The white man might know it. My boss might know it. Ain't that a hell of a way to live? That's how the Jews were living too. And so they were always messing with each other. And so the Jews had what many people refer to as religion today. But it's not exactly religion. The reality is that every culture, every society has for itself an explanation of its place and destiny in the world. You won't find a society that cannot come up and has for itself. And this is an explanation that has come out of its own experiences as a people. Everybody does that. And the Jews had a way of life around which had emerged this philosophy. And the philosophy, of course, is tied up into now what you call the Bible. And the Jews had certain leaders who ones who best interpreted and best understood and best expressed the notions that was in this philosophy that was found in the Bible. These were the teachers. They were called priests and things like that. Now, I'm not talking, when you talk about religion, you're talking about what white folk have taught you is something that you go to do every Sunday in church or in Bible study or something like that. I'm talking about a way of life. This is how the Jewish people, this is how all peoples emerged. They had a way of life. And philosophy grew out of this way of life and informed the people how they should act. For example, people would discover that eating the pig and stuff like that would kill you pretty soon. It will kill you sometimes, won't it? Because it has all these disease and tapeworms and all other kinds of things associated with it. So after the leaders of the society, the learned people in the society, begin to sum up that the thing will kill you, he will have a vision that will say, God said, don't eat anything with cloven feet. Won't it? Don't eat anything like that because it'll kill you. If I told you, you're going to eat it. Anyway, because I like them pork chops, you understand? But God told you not to eat, so write that down, you understand? And so you see, coming out of the experiences of the people, this philosophy, and some science and some mysticism, because the reality is much of religion and from our society is organized around ignorance, what you don't know. If you don't believe it, I can tell you the main thing that person who is very religious say to you when you say I'm not religious. They say, what you mean ain't no God? They won't give you evidence that there is. They can't say, well, if there ain't no God, then how the moon get there, and how the sun get there, and why it go round and round like it does. In other words, if you don't know the answer, it must be a God. So it's the religion organized around what? Ignorance. The more you know, the more you move away from it. Oh, yes. And so here you have like 2,000 years ago, was no satellites, was no Toyotas, was no cable television, was no telephone, was no indoor toilets, except maybe in Egypt. Yes, right. Right? And 2,000 years, and the Roman kicking butt everywhere. Rome is doing it up. And the people who are oppressed by Rome want to find a way. And the Jews had this belief that someday there was going to come a leader, a deliverer. And deliverer, what is a deliverer? They call it a Messiah. That's what Messiah means, a deliverer, someone who would deliver us. Because the Jews wanted to have their own government. They didn't want to be governed by the Romans. They wanted to have their own government. In those days, you didn't have governments that were comprised of Congress and Senate and Parliament and stuff like that. In those days, you had governments where there were kings. Isn't that right? And in such a place where there are kings, you call it what? A kingdom, right? And so the Jews wanted their own kingdom. And they believed that there was going to be somebody who would come and lead them to find their own kingdom, not after you die, but right here on earth. Right here on earth. They wanted a kingdom. They wanted to get out from under the domination of the white people from Rome. But there were all kinds of organizations among the Jews, just like there are organizations among you. There was one organization that was called the Sadducees. And this was an old Uncle Tom organization, comprised mostly of rich Jews. And they were religious, rich Jews, real rich Jews, not just. And so, just like now, back then you could still be under foreign domination and get rich. And then there were the Pharisees. The Pharisees were also Uncle Tom Selleck group, except the Sadducees was nonviolent. They were, some people call it pacifism, but I call it masochism. Right? You see, I have the Bible up here.